Oh, really neat then. You can see it being really entertaining and struggling. Definitely. No, it takes a bit of time to first learn the game for sure, especially depending on what type of player you are. If you're somebody who really enjoys jumping into something blind and figuring out all the little mechanics and interactions yourself, or whether you're somebody who likes to, take a deep dive into a wiki and get every tiny bit of information. Because if you're the latter, then it's definitely a bit easier to get into a game like this without having to face too many embarrassing deaths. One of the classic expressions used for the game is YASD, which stands for yet another stupid death, because that is one of the main features for sure, is just trying to keep cognizant of all the stupid ways you can get yourself into trouble. The game just requires good decision making, and not even that, because I'm not always so great at the decision making stuff, and yet I still am able to somehow make it through in one piece every once in a while at the very least. And yeah, it is free to play online, and in fact, real quick here, I'm gonna jump over to grab the link here, and I can post it over in chat. If you ever want to check it out yourself, Player React, that's the main page for the game. And then there is just, an option to either play online through a web server, or you can download it and just play it on your machine. Right now we're playing the offline version because I like some of the interface options. You normally don't have your inventory screen there, and there's a bit more need to learn hotkeys if you start online, but there are quite a few functionalities, especially if you're somebody who is an achievement hunter or anything like that. You might want to start on the online version because it will keep track of all your stats and stuff like that. Perfect. Yeah, it's hugely addicting but difficult to learn. Took you over 100 runs to get your first win, Wrigley. I wish that, I knew how many runs. I'm sure for me it must have been over 100, because I don't think the first year of playing I was able to get a win. Though I will say, when I first started the game, I very much played into the thematic side of the game and tried to have just a lot of fun with silly species, background combinations, and stuff like that. Thanks, you'll definitely check it out and watch and learn from me for now. Sounds good to me, Player React. Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one here, because I guess one of the other features of the game are 27 different species. So the current goal that I'm working on right now is actually getting an on-camera victory with each of the different species that the game has available. And on top of that, each of them has very distinct kind of playstyles and interesting features and traits. So right now we're playing as a Gnoll, which usually as you're going through the dungeon, you can allocate where your skills are going rather, and you kind of focus down a certain type of weapon, armor maybe, or certain types of spell casting. But on this character, everything's trained all at once. They all train a lot faster than the norm, but we don't have as much control over the specifics of what we want to train. And so it allows us to be a bit of an all-rounder and use whatever the dungeon throws at us here. And perfect. We were able to throw just enough poison darts here to get rid of that steam dragon before they completely cooked us to death in our own armor. Never fun running into early breath weapons, of course. You enjoyed Gnoll's Brain? Nice to hear it. Yeah, I think I remember, was it you during the tournament that had a fairly successful Gnoll Ice Elementalist? It's ringing a bell in my brain here. But definitely one of my favorite species to play. And well, not necessarily the best beginner species, if just because of some of the more interesting mechanics, or at least they don't have some of the advantages that a lot of the other species have. Oof. This got real rough at the end here. I forgot about smites, and I probably should have just ran away. I guess that's one of the first lessons that I can try and impart on you, Player React, just in case you do decide to give it a shot here. One of the most important strategies to keep in mind is that you can always just run away. Unless you're dead, of course. So, at the end of the day, we want to not die. Oh gosh. As I immediately get teleported into a worse situation. That's too bad. So my attempts to run away there, we're reading a teleport scroll, which takes a few turns to kick in, but then takes us to another part of the level. And unfortunately, took us to a pretty rough space. You can see how it take time to learn, but even if you're confused looking at this, it's still really entertaining. Love to hear it. And oh, knife indeed. You can see yourself dying a lot at the beginning. Hey, I die a lot, even in the late stage of how long I've played the game here, so definitely to be expected. But part of my survival there was that ambrosia potion, which I now immediately have to get rid of, I think. I mean, let's go invisible to start off. I think that's a decent start. And maybe, oh, should I use my curing potion? I might save it for the poison that may or may not be upcoming. And instead, let it heal me up a little bit. Well, we're invisible here, and there we go. We lose the effect, and I'm going to read another scroll of teleportation. Okay, barely move, but still not horrible. Maybe even still a slightly better situation. As I start running away. Ooh, we're no longer invisible. Crap, I'm not paying attention. Well, we might die in one hit. If everyone does max damage, any AoE attacks, yeah, I definitely should have maybe thrown in a condenser vein. Probably actually could have made it through this fight in one piece. Not that it's the end yet, don't get me wrong, but might have been a better strategy than trying to run away. I was kind of relying on the invisibility lasting a little bit longer. So instead here, let's drink one more potion of curing. AoE should be able to take out the killer bees in relatively short order. So let's see. Evoke that explosion and... Okay, the condenser vein gives us fire clouds, which is quite spectacular. And then I kind of want to make things stand in it, so I don't actually want to back off here. Could throw some more things at this problem. Let's see, you do 18 damage each. Because I see, yeah, Railbird, you suggest invisibility once more, but I do feel like we can maybe make it through in one piece. The only issue is if I get petrified, that's going to be rough. A couple more turns of fire clouds should take everything out, though, in relatively short order. Especially, you know what, we've already made a lot of noise, so let's follow it up with an ice blast on top of it. Beautiful. And some poison darts at our basilisk friend here. Perfect. Please, sir, don't notice me. Okay. Never a dull moment, eh? Knife. Ouch, that hurt a lot more than I expected. Holy crap, why did that hurt so much? 14 damage, increased damage when unseen, but you weren't unseen, were you? Maybe you were for a moment there. You son of a gun. But healing, as long as we can see them, will give us enough. That darn shadow hits hard when you don't notice it, right? Especially when it was so close to dead, I thought it would be a trivial matter to just take it out in a couple of swings here. But of course, we do have the Wyvern to fight after it as well. So let's start healing. Ooh, it's invisible, so it's going to deal that extra damage. I also didn't check if it sees invisible. Oof, is this a blink by necessity situation? I hate wasting my only blink, but it's whatever keeps us alive. The alternative there is we just double down. We do something like leg or haste, but I don't feel great about our odds there. So, one and only blink scroll. Take us out of there into the waiting embrace. The water moccasin, but we can follow this up with a teleport scroll. See where that takes us. Not a great place. Let's do a scroll of fog That does not give us nearly as much cover as I was hoping, but maybe just enough. Okay, we have to, oh, I thought we had to go next to them. You son of a gun. But there we go. Another unfortunate death here. Oh, I definitely thought that fog would be slightly better. Forget that they get in a turn before the clouds actually pop up. Ah, poor knife. I barely knew you, pal. Just trying to work through some of the better solutions there. Maybe once the fog actually covered us, reading a scroll of teleport, but unfortunately the speed of centaurs means that they will just gallop up to us and immediately run us down to the ground. But hey, what better way to show off the game to a potential new or potential future new player than to show how easily things take that sudden dive from maybe not doing okay, we were in panic mode to say the very least, but immediately downturn into brutal death. And yeah, how long have I been playing the game? Yeah, for me, over 12 years, very much like what Brain was saying, where over the years I've consistently kind of taken breaks, come back to it. It has a relatively consistent or solid update schedule, so it's constantly coming out with new features and stuff like that. The dev team is always working on trying to add new things, balance old things, all that good stuff, so it does feel very fresh whenever I've come back to it in the past. And even though I've stuck with it now for the past few months streaming, I don't even know how long since I started playing this on stream here, but I've gone through a version of the game and enjoyed kind of the way that it subtly changes as you continue to progress. Definitely a whole lot of fun. But, question becomes rather, do we try and start off one more before the end of the night here? Definitely won't be sticking around for too much longer. It's been a bit of a longer stream. It's nice to celebrate being back, but at the end of the day, I will pass out on camera at some point. Not to mention how many innocent Gnoll lives I'm going to throw away in my slightly tired mindset rather. But I think I'm happy to try out one more, get it started. It's nice to keep in the rhythm and flow here, and I don't mind staying around for a little bit. I don't overdo it. Thanks, Flavor Hack. I'll definitely try my best, even though it's always tempting, isn't it? You can never put it down. But let's go in with one more. If anyone has any favorite names that start with not an N, but the N sound, then phoneme, as it were, feel free to suggest them. Otherwise, I will happily try and figure something out for myself here. And in fact, we'll select Wanderer like we do. Brain, though, did just suggest an air elementalist, which could be interesting. Get back to a little bit of that flavor from the past that I used to enjoy way back in the day. But it would require me to forsake the randomness of the Gnoll Wanderer. So how about a happy medium? I'm going to go Gnoll Wanderer, but we're just definitely going to get air elementalism, I guess is the right conjugation of that, as one of our starting skills, I'm sure. For Railbird, you started playing in 2017. It was version 0.19 then, and 0.27 now. Yeah, so it definitely, I think it must have sped up a decent amount since when I first started, or I started in a much earlier version than I originally suspected. Definitely a very different state of the game now, based on when I first started up here. You had a coworker who played a certain game for years and years, and is or was the top of the leaderboards for a while. It's neat to find communities of games never heard of. It's interesting to learn about these games. Yeah, especially when the communities are, like, yeah, surprisingly strong for something that is a little bit more niche, something that is, you know, never crossed the radar, isn't one of the mainstays of a lot of people. But, the DCSS community is definitely pretty incredible, and I've really enjoyed getting to know a lot of the folks through streaming it here, but also a little bit of interaction on like the Reddit, and less so interaction on my end and more so me just lurking around and listening in, reading in on everyone else's posts and conversations. But the Reddit, and also one of the main forums for the game, the Tavern, back in the day. It's been a while since I checked out the Tavern. I don't know, is the Tavern still active? Do people still use that a lot in the community. It used to be my go-to back in the day before I knew that Reddit was a thing. But I will actually, yeah, in order to get the run started here, I will take your suggestion there, Brain, and come in with name. No, name. No name. Perfect. You think it got taken down? Oh no. Oh, poor tavern. It's been a long time since I checked it out myself, but that used to be my go-to place for victory posts, death posts, as well as reading into the different advice that people were giving on the time on meta and stuff like that. Fond memories, but makes sense because I don't really hear about it much these days. Greetings from Germany. Hey Lynn, how's it going? Welcome back. Nice to see you again for sure here. I guess maybe I haven't seen you in person. It's just that you followed recently, isn't it? I think you subscribed, or followed rather, a few days ago, and maybe that's why your name is ringing a bell here. But nice to see you. Glad to have you around here, and thanks, I guess, in a slightly delayed sense, thank you so much for that follow the other day, if that is in fact what I am remembering you by. You know, I'm mentioning that the tavern is still up, just not very active. They've had new accounts turned off for like 3 years now. Okay, so I can still go around and lurk if I so desire. Good to hear. Oh gosh. Don't know any spells off the start. Oh no, is this first Gnoll, or not Gnoll, but Kobold gonna take us out? Kobold with a weapon. How dare it. Come on, we can do it. They have a 60% chance to hit me. They deal 1 plus up to 4, I think. So like a 2 to 5 damage range. Only have 3 health themselves. And it's a brutal fight to the death. Able to take out them. Way harder than it should have been. Player mentioning playing those lesser known games is something you really enjoy. You'd never known about this without having gone through and seen My Life is Strange stream all. Right? Serendipitous how it all works out, to say the least. Oops, I meant to actually potentially learn some spells before we continued on here. Maybe let's back up and do so. Saw my videos on YouTube. Nice. Glad to have you here live as well, Lynert. Lynert. Definitely let me know if you have a preferred way of having your handle addressed, and I'll try my best to remember it. But glad to see you around these parts, and thank you so much for stopping by. Definitely doing fantastic, even despite the couple of unfortunate deaths we've thrown our gnolls into here. I also should have learned one of these spells like I wanted to here. DCSS is a great game, one of the best in its class. I definitely agree with that, Enon. I've tried a few different of these kind of classic style roguelikes over the days, and nothing's quite gone its claws in me the way that this game has. Not to say that there aren't many that are impressive and a lot of work has gone into a lot of them, but there's something special about this one in particular for whatever reason for me. The way it handles a lot of the mechanics, and in a lot of ways it's changed over the years. I've actually really appreciated and loved it. And you've seen that I had a YouTube. Nice. Yeah, definitely is a little lackluster at the moment, just because I did go away and I did set a bunch of videos to release while I was gone because I didn't want to leave people on the lurch completely. But I will say that I definitely shirked my thumbnail responsibilities in the time leading up to getting married, just because there was a lot going on, to say the very least. But one of these days I'll have to get back and just do a bit of a splurge working through all those bad boys. I've seen lots of content too, like a sort of memory log of past games and such. Indeed. Some of them at the very least. I wish that I'd kept up a little more with some series. I started at one point doing a Torinski tries, where I was trying to play through little bits of a bunch of different games, ones that I had or hadn't tried in the past, a little bit of mix. Might go back to that at some point too, but it was definitely harder to keep up the creativity, and made me just want to get more into editing, which I still haven't given its fair shake. Definitely had a little bit of trouble starting off, and then have been busy with life and whatnot. Perfect, and both is fine for Lynn. Perfect, thank you so much. Nice and easy. And have I tried Cogmind, or any of us tried Cogmind? No, I have not, and I actually haven't heard of that one either. Is it another classic dungeon crawler, or maybe a different game of sorts? I was interested to see what games the world has on offer. So many options. And yeah, you got into Enon got into Cogmind for a few weeks. Pretty interesting. Lots of equipment swapping all the time, though. Interesting ideas and mechanics. Oh, very cool. And yeah, even having content to be coming out is great. Keep it up. You're doing great. Thank you so much, Player React. Yeah, I wanted to have stuff coming out. I know that consistency is key in a lot of ways in this business or dealio. And I can always go back and make thumbnails later, right? Not the end of the world to miss a couple of those. Glad everything is going good. Indeed. Yeah. What else? Okay, it's a different setting, but still nice, you think? Oh, different setting I see for Cogmind, that is. Cool, cool. Yeah, I might have to check that one out. Again, nothing quite sinks its teeth in quite as much as this game for me for whatever reason. But always happy to try out new stuff, especially in my own downtime and stuff like that. It's a roguelike. You're a robot mech, though, escaping a computer dungeon. Has a whole lot of computer hacking elements. Oh, that's a fun theming for sure. That's really cool. Xypen, you do it when you have the chance. I hope that others feel the same way, for sure. That is my general way that I've been going through this whole streaming thing, though. Is just, when possible, when I can, having fun with it. Making sure to not take out the pure enjoyment that I get out of doing this whole thing, as well as making sure that real life doesn't take too much of a backseat, because fortunately, unfortunately, depending on how you want to frame it, real life is super important. So do want to make sure to keep that priority ahead, at least for the time being here. No fun allowed. Okay. Way to call me on it, Spendart. Make sure we're staying focused here, because, right, we're not having fun, especially on DCSS. We are surviving. We are trying to thrive in the dungeon. We can have fun when we've escaped, right? Yeah, don't burn yourself out and don't burn myself out and give myself enough breathe time as well. Definitely something I have to try and keep in mind. I'm always liable to work myself in different ways. Harder than I otherwise might or should. It's definitely something that runs in my family, even though fortunately, I've been able to, yeah, keep a good balance between the stream side of things and real life, and getting in a little bit of relaxed time when possible. In fact, just got in a whole bunch with the recent break that I took, so that was a nice little refresh, to say the least. As much as I truly enjoy doing all this, it is important to get a bit of that good vacation time in every once in a while.